In today's episode, Stephen A. Smith isn't done roasting the Dems. J.D. Vance drops the mic. And we'll begin in a few moments talking about the NFL and the referee controversy that follows the Kansas City Chiefs everywhere they go. YouTube viewers, if you would, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe on these videos. We love the interaction, and the more that we get from you, the better. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened at Arrowhead Stadium. Yesterday, the Buffalo Bills trying to finally climb Mount Chiefs Kingdom. Josh Allen and the team going in there 0-3 in the playoffs. Allen against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And the Bills come up empty yet again, 32-29. The Chiefs win the game. But it was not without controversy. The referees coming into play in a big way on a spot that occurred late in the game. And Dave Portnoy wasted no time after the game going on social media and blasting the referees.
The refs still have to be in prison. Josh Allen had that first down. There's no play in the history of football where that's not a first down. You have two refs. By the way, the play before it was a first down. The play before it was a first down. You have two refs coming in 5 yards apart on the spot. They are 5 yards apart. Who decides who's got the spot? The guy they give it to gets knocked off his line by an arguing chief. That's the whole game.
Tell us what you really think, Dave. There is Josh Allen, the sneak that occurred on fourth down. A fourth down that Portnoy also argued wouldn't have even been necessary if the spot on the previous play had been accurate. And then many also believing that Josh Allen made it on the fourth down, that the Bills shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. Are you following me? Two straight bad spots, according to the eyes of many watching the game yesterday. I'm sure those in Kansas City may have seen it from a slightly different perspective. But the technology here, what are we dealing with? It's 2025. We're catching rockets with chopsticks, but we're still measuring our fourth down measurements like we're the Amish. What kind of Luddite situation do we have going on in the NFL with these referees scurrying out and just saying, it looks like, I don't know, it looks like it was here. What did you see, Frank, from the other side of the field? I don't know. This looks good. We're trusting our gut. We're living in this society where we have replay challenges and delays in the game while we view stuff backwards and forwards. And was it a catch? Did he maintain possession of the ball? Did he have control through hitting the ground and all of this stuff? And we're just kind of coming out there and Frank just eyes it up and says, looks like that's where we're going to spot the ball. I don't know. Might be time to start thinking about, is there a better way? We found a better way when I was a kid to just blaze up and smoke tobacco, billowing smoke, secondhand smoke. The struggle was real. Us Gen X kids, the amount of secondhand smoke that we ingested. I remember when adults smoked so fucking much, they had to put ashtrays in car seats, and we all thought that shit was just perfectly normal. There you are. Of course. We have ashtrays in the back of car seats. How else are we going to go back there and smoke? You can't wait till you got to your destination and we had smoking sections and non-smoking sections, as if the smoke knew where those lines of distinction have been drawn in the air. Had people smoking on airplanes. I don't know, man. Maybe Bills fans need a good smoke today to try to come down from what happened yesterday. LASIK.com, the leaders in eye surgery. This isn't a plug, but by God, LASIK, if you're interested, let us know. Better Vision, Better Calls, still literally offering all NFL refs free LASIK. So there you are, LASIK chiming in on the judgment of the referees on these situations that are critical. The Bills had the lead. They had a chance to push it down the field and increase their lead. Instead, Chiefs get the ball back, go down the field, take the lead, and it changes the entire complexion of the game. Tough one for the Bills, a franchise that has certainly had a lot of disappointment. Josh Allen continues to have disappointment personally in his rivalry with Patrick Mahomes. And these are two guys that I think for many of us, we would say there's a decent argument to be made that Josh Allen is just as good as Patrick Mahomes. Some might even argue he's better. Statistically, in these 4 playoff losses that Josh Allen has against the Chiefs, he has matched Patrick Mahomes, yard for yard, touchdown for touchdown, but just coming up a little bit short again and again. Well, a franchise that knows a little too much about coming up short, I can testify, is the Chicago Bears. And it appears that for a change, perhaps we haven't come up short in our search for a head coach, because Ben Johnson is the guy that I think myself and many of us in this city were hoping for, didn't think that we would get, but then those prayers were answered. So maybe the needle is pointing up for the Chicago Bears. Matthew McConaughey dressed up like Mike Ditka, Super Bowl ad. I don't know what's going on here, but let's take a look.
Here we go. The Bears. The Bears. Yeah, the Bears. Oh, getting close. The Bears. No. The Bears. The Bears. The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
There's nothing not to like about that. I'm not the biggest Super Bowl ads guy, but I think we've got our early leader in the clubhouse. Anytime you can get Wooderson dressed up like Mike Ditka, you don't have to try too hard to get me signed up. Sign me up for some of this, would you? 40 years later, and it's still the bar in this town. The coach and the quarterback. Jim McMahon. When we got Jay Cutler, we were so excited. We thought, oh my gosh, that was a big day in this town when we got Jay Cutler. That marriage ended up not being all that happy. I think Jim McMahon is still the standard here. Caleb Williams, that's where your bar is. Maybe Ben Johnson can help you get there, but you'll never be as cool as Jim McMahon, because the punky QB was certainly cool. And speaking of cool, Bill Maher says that Donald Trump is cool now. Well, that's quite a acknowledgement to come from the mouth of Bill Maher. Let's listen to more.
Here's how bad the Democrats fucked up. Trump is cool now. He's not just the most powerful guy in the world and just made himself like the richest. Mm-hmm. He's actually kind of at 78.
Yes.
I mean, rappers like him. Yeah. The athletes are doing, I was making fun of him jerking off 2 guys at one time. And now he owns it, and they're doing it. I mean, the Village people are gay for Trump now.
YMCA. He's always been a celebrity, Bill. He was a joke. He had The Apprentice. He used to do movie cameos. He did wrestling.
He was a joke.
But you know what the problem with that is? He was a celebrity, but he was made to be a celebrity by a whole bunch of Democrats. Think about that.
Well, he's been a celebrity for a long time, that's for sure. But I would agree his coolness factor is going up, and maybe it's because he's kicking ass and taking names. Might have a lot to do with it. I mean, politicians, the ratio of talk to things that they actually get done, we all know that ratio is way out of whack. Trump's ratio in week 1 was pretty fucking impressive. You want to talk about a high batting average? He's come into his second term here, and we're moving at a breakneck pace by the standards of how we're used to seeing our bureaucracy run in this country. Trump not playing games with Colombia. Colombia's president is reversing course quickly due to the actions of Donald Trump. Colombia rejected 2 military flights that we were sending in carrying illegals from Colombia, even though they had already approved them. They reversed course on the U.S. and decided that they were not going to do that. Donald Trump, out golfing at Doral in Miami, sends out a post on Truth saying he's going to impose 25% tariffs on Colombia. Now, do you think that that would get results quickly? Because it got results really quickly. Colombia responds, offers the presidential plane to help repatriate the deportees. And then Trump, to cap it off, posts an AI photo of himself with the text FAFO. And if you don't know what that means, it means fuck around and find out. So we have a president that is responding to others fucking around with a heaping dose of find out. And I think that's one of the reasons that people are galvanizing around Donald Trump. Doing this in between playing holes of golf. Stephen A. Smith was on the most recent episode of Bill Maher's show with him. And Stephen A., who has had a lot of criticism that he's been directing towards the Democrats in recent weeks, continued down that path with some very pointed words that he shared. Let's go to the tape right now.
Here's the deal. The man was impeached twice. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. And the American people still said, he's closer to normal than what we see.
Exactly.
Left. That's what they're saying. He's closer to normal. Why? Because something that pertains, when you talk about the transgender community, for example, and you're talking about the issues that pertain to less than 1% of the population, the Democratic Party came across as if that was a priority more so than the other issues. And so he comes into office. Now you're talking about childbirth, citizenship, and what have you. He knows that's not going to pass the mustard, but he knows that he made that promise. So when he shows up week 1 on Capitol Hill and he says, this is what we're going to do through an executive order, even though it's going to be shot down through the courts and what have you, he's saying, I kept my promise. A lot of other things that he's going to point to that he's going to try to do. I kept my promise. Then you turn around and you look at the left and you say, what promises did you keep? Now, you might know the answer to that. I'm certainly not questioning your knowledge about that at all. What I'm saying is what resonated with the voter. What voter out there can look at the Democratic Party at this moment in time and say, there's a voice for us, somebody that speaks for us, that goes up on Capitol Hill and fights the fights that we want them fighting on our behalf. They didn't do that. And that's why their behinds are home and that man is back into the White House and they want to sit up there and talk. You look at the networks right now, they're talking about him. Look at it. This is the latest. Look at him. Here he goes again. Well, you know what here he goes again means? He's doing what he said he was going to do. He promised you he was going to do these things, and he walked into office week 1, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's saying, y'all do something about it. And when you try to do something about it, he's going to say, look at them now. Now they're concerned about these issues. Were they talking about that during the campaign? Hell no. That's really it.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well, look.
He's doing stuff, keeping promises and doing stuff. It does make an impression. I think one of the criticisms that we as Americans have about both parties at various times as we look at how the political process plays out is it just seems so often that nothing really ever gets done. We talk about it, we discuss it to death, and then we find ourselves 5 years, 10 years down the line still talking in circles about the same problem. Donald Trump, whatever you think about it, he's come into office, all of these executive orders, he's moving on the things that he said that he was going to move on. And I think a lot of people respect him for it, Stephen A. Smith included. Now, this idea here again, 34 felonies. I love the point that he makes where he says the people still decided Trump was more normal. Everything that was thrown at him, the felonies, a convicted felon. Every time the Democrats want to throw a dagger at Donald Trump and refer to him as a convicted felon, they need to remember that they lost to the convicted felon. And it says more about the Democrats than that term says about Donald Trump, because the majority of Americans look at Donald Trump and I don't think that they really see him as a felon. I think they see him as someone who was wrongfully convicted and had lawfare used against him. So if the Democrats want to continue to talk about that, they certainly can. Bill Jackson gave them something to talk about. Bonnie Raitt, let's give them something to talk about. I hope Phil Jackson's balls don't pop out. EMTs were needed on the scene in 1979 when one of Phil Jackson's balls popped out of his shorts and Moses Malone rebounded it. The big man reeled it in and Phil was out for the rest of the season, according to legend. But we'll now bring in a man who I would say is never out, a man who never engages in load management, but that wouldn't be true. A man who only engages in load management when he needs to follow the Ohio State Buckeyes around the country. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star joining me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, what do you make of the referees spotting footballs arguably irresponsibly? It seems that there are many of us who feel that at least one of those two calls should have gone the Buffalo Bills' way, and therefore those calls may have determined, in a sense, the winner of the game.
Dude, I understand why on the field, I mean, things are going fast. I understand why maybe a ref misses something, but we have replay now. And, you know, on that play, the ref that actually saw that was facing Josh Allen and could see the ball, he actually spotted it as a first down. The ref that was behind the play can only see Josh Allen's back, spotted it not a first down, which that right there was crazy. But they did show a shot that was right down the line, and that ball was clearly, and when it was only a tiny bit, Ricky, but a tiny bit's enough, that it was a first down. That being said, dude, the Bills were pathetic on these super short yardage plays the entire game. Like, I don't know what they were doing. They like try to run the tush push. They do not run the Philadelphia version of the tush push. Like, they basically, it looks like a quarterback sneak. Like, Josh Allen like hesitates, takes a step to the side, and then tries to go. So it's not the tush push that Philadelphia does. So, I mean, the Bills kind of have themselves to blame because they were absolutely horrible on short down situations during this game.
Ron, again, like the Ravens, you've got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, two legitimately great quarterbacks. Allen may be the MVP when we find out who the MVP is. He's certainly one of the top two candidates, Lamar being the other. Lamar already has two MVPs, but you can't make your receiver catch the ball.
No.
You know, it's a fine line. We were talking with Gary Myers last week about Eli Manning going to the Hall of Fame. And I think Eli's going to go, and I think he deserves it. But that David Tyree helmet catch, that is how they won one of their Super Bowls, that's not even on the quarterback. That's an act of God. That's like in Pulp Fiction when the guy runs out and empties the chamber at Jules and Vincent, and they look around and they realize that somehow every bullet has missed them. Dalton Kincaid just flat dropped the ball yesterday.
Still a tough catch. It still would have been a tough catch.
Well, I mean, but I'm sure that he knows that he should have caught that. You got to catch that under those conditions. You simply have to. And, you know, same thing with Andrews with the Ravens. Again, you can't, and look, I understand it happens. Nobody's perfect. I don't want to slam these guys for a physical error. Of course, they were trying their best, but if you want to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to make plays like that. You just can't leave points out there on the field in that way.
Well, dude, we can go back a couple of years on Josh Allen and say, oh, Josh Allen can't win the big one against Patrick Mahomes. Well, that's not true. He freaking gave them a lead with 13 seconds left a couple of years ago. That one's not on Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen did exactly what he was supposed to do in that game. And then the Bills give up I don't even remember if it was a touchdown or a field goal in 13 seconds. Come on, man. Like, that's not Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, it's not a Josh Allen failure. Josh Allen, it's just, look, as my grandmother used to say, it's a shame somebody's got to lose. But somebody's got to lose, and sometimes when you flip a coin, the coin doesn't come up, you know, heads, tails. It might come up 6, 7 heads in a row, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a defective coin. It just means in a small sample size, the bounce of the ball, a drop here, a call there. It's painful for the Bills because that franchise has been through it. You've seen it with both the Bills and the Lions. The Vikings, another one, right? These franchises that have just gone through so many painful losses, you hate to see it. It's going to be a long off season. But we got the Super Bowl that it seems like nobody wanted, Ron. I saw the meme where you had Eagles and Commanders was leading to like a beautiful castle with flowers and sun was shining, and the path to the Bills Chiefs Super Bowl was like a straight to hell. So, but Ron, cupcakes to everyone today in Philadelphia. The A cupcake is conspicuously absent.
A little nod to the mayor. Speaking of the Eagles, dude, Saquon Barkley is a bad man. Holy crap, Ricky. That dude is awesome.
Well, it says something when the other team has grinded, eating up a bunch of clock. They kick a field goal, and then it's like, what are we going to do when we get the ball? I don't know. Touchdown?
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and score a touchdown real fast.
60 yards. No biggie.
Yeah, I was thinking Saquon probably, I was looking at his career stats. If he were to retire after this season, he's 27 years old, I think. Maybe he's 28 now. He's 27 or 28. If he were to retire, win or lose in the Super Bowl, I think we've seen enough now that he would make the Hall of Fame.
Oh gosh, yes. On the backwards hurdle alone, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think he is over the Hall of Fame bar. Maybe I'm slow to that, but Ron, are you aware that referees can award touchdowns? There's a lot of us that, it takes an unusual situation for that question to come up, for the referee to basically say, hey, look, I would like to remind Washington that at a certain point, if you keep fucking around, I can award a touchdown. So just so you know. So, he basically became like the assistant principal. Just like, if you boys don't knock it off, I'm going to award a touchdown.
Yeah, but
a lot of us were not aware that was a thing.
Yeah, there's a name for this, and I heard it this morning, and I can't remember what it was, but it's like something act, and it's when the other team does something that's like so out of sorts that doesn't really have a rule for it. The refs can go ahead and say it. And so one of the things that it can do is, you remember a few years ago, Mike Tomlin kind of ran out onto the field. Ran out on the field and caused that player to go down, and the refs thought he was going to score a touchdown. They could have awarded a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, it's the palpably unfair act.
Thank you. That's what it is.
I guess slingshotting yourself across, for encroaching 3 times in a row. At a certain point, it's like pickoff throws to first base. We can't be here at 7:00 at night because you just committed your 32nd consecutive encroachment. So there has to be some mechanism.
You got to give Luvo credit for trying, because it was. He was trying to time the jump, but at some point, it's like enough's enough.
They're just gonna. They need to ban the tush push. This is real simple. Just get rid of it. Are you with me on this?
I don't know.
We shouldn't even be having this conversation, should we?
Ricky, honestly, I disagree with you. It's a football play. Learn to stop it or learn to do it yourself. Like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, it's a football
Tim
play.
says it's rugby. I think he means that in an approving way.
Yeah,
Tim,
it's a football. It's a football play. Like,
reference.
You learn to do it. Learn to do it if you don't like it, and learn to stop it if you don't like it. I don't see the big deal.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, Ron, but I get your point. Did you see? Give me more. Yeah, give me E, G, S, L, E, S. Did you see the eagle flying? Take a look at the Eagle. They released some freedom at Lincoln Financial Field. Have a look at that. Look at that Eagle. Is he carrying 4 incredible choices? Listen to this. Is he bringing 4 things that are good with him?
You have wanted to do this segue all morning, haven't you?
Tim, could it be? Does he have it in his mouth? Do I see 4 things in his mouth? His beak? I think perhaps he has, Ron, because it's time for America's Poll of the Day. It's Super 70s Sports on X, where he just came screeching in from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hot off a Philadelphia Eagles win, Ron. And we come to a poll that you wrote today, Ronnie. So we'll look at the options here. I'll go through them. I'll give you my thoughts since this is your poll, and then you can analyze it for me, Ron, what you think the public's going to do. The first option is river tubing. Now, is that lazy river tubing?
Yeah.
Or is that more aggressive river tubing?
No, that aggressive tubing is done on a lake. River tubing is lazy and delightful.
Okay, just like drinking a beer.
Yep.
Just floating down the river.
You get the extra tube where you put your cooler in the tube. So yeah, that.
See, I've never done it down a real river, but I did tube around. I think it's like the biggest or the second biggest man-made lazy river. It's on the roof of the Marriott in Houston, Texas.
I want video of that.
It's the shape of the state of Texas.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to video you.
It's impressive. It's impressive. All right, the second choice is 24, the Kiefer Sutherland show. I never watched it. I'm aware of it. It moved in real time was the gimmick, right? His time was the same as our time and like basically every other show. Third, we've got Sausage, Gravy, and Biscuits, which ordinarily sounds really good to me. And then Aerosmith. Top priority of the summer for Randall, Pink Floyd, and the gang. All right, dude. So I love the idea of river tubing based on the lazy river experiences I've had. So I think that would be fun. Sausage, Gravy, and Biscuits, I'm a big fan of. Aerosmith's okay. I'm just kind of like whatever. 24, I've never watched it. Don't really care. So I'm gonna vote for Sausage, Gravy, and Biscuits. I suppose.
So when I did this poll this morning, for the food one, I was trying to think of something that wasn't just that I thought was going to be like overwhelmingly great. Now I'll tell you, I've snuck a look at this, and I do know the results. And man, was I off. Sausage, Gravy, and Biscuits is loved more than I thought it was. I just know a lot of people that don't like it. Like Lori hates it, so maybe that influenced me. But I will tell you a quick sausage and gravy.
That's the first thing you've ever told me about Lori that makes me wonder a little bit.
Dude,
she's
when I was in college,
she's still obviously in the circle of trust here, but that is a single data point, Lori.
When I was in, she doesn't like any kind of gravy. I think she's weird. Like she doesn't even put gravy on her mashed potatoes. She's weird. When I was in college, there was a restaurant called TJ's Country Place, and we used to go there after a night of drinking. And they had a thing called the Barnyard Buster, which was just basically a traditional breakfast: bacon, scrambled eggs, biscuits, and then they covered the entire plate in sausage gravy, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever had. So I screwed up. Sausage, gravy, and biscuits are too good, man.
So basically, you're telling us that sausage, gravy, and biscuits is the
ran away with
winner.
It. Yep.
Thanks for ruining the suspense, Tim.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to light that limp candle?
But I will say 24 I love 24. I absolutely love the show 24.
I always heard good things about it. I just never was, it didn't appeal to me personally. Tim there you go. All right. 46% for sausage, gravy, and biscuits.
You know what it feels like, Ricky?
Tubing at 20. Aerosmith third and 24, I think correctly in last place, Ron. What,
It
Ron?
feels
Go
like
ahead.
it feels lately like we've been doing really good on 3 of them, and then the 4th one has just been too good. Like that kind of seems like it's a trend for all of us.
That's the hardest part of the game. It's like you're trying to balance. You're trying to balance 4 objects on a scale evenly, and it's so easy for it to swing out of.
Yeah, like the food. Should I put like Salisbury steak or something, or Swedish meatballs? Like what? Like I just didn't think sausage, gravy, and biscuits was going to be that good.
Swedish meatballs might have actually, leveled the table legs there, Ron.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I think it's very possible.
At least I didn't put
JD
Clark
Vance,
on there.
did you? Oh wow! Shots fired there. Well, my goodness, that was aggressive. You know what? I'm going to stay out of it. When you're
I'm talking to.
collide like that, I'm just
talking
taking some steps
Mrs.
back.
Dick Clark,
I don't even know anything about it. Ron, did you see JD Vance on Face the Nation? Margaret Brennan going after JD Vance on illegal immigration, and JD coming back strong with some words for Margaret Brennan that I'm not sure Margaret was entirely ready for. Let's go to the tape.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary
Do you stand by
concern
it?
as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people
it's
are
not
vetted.
good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
All right. I mean, drop the mic, as I said at the top. Why is it that they always end up showing more sympathy, these journalists, legacy media? Why is it always greater concern shown for the people who are not from our country than for the people who live here? Why is he, unsuccessfully being put on his heels for something that would seem to be just an extremely common sense opinion that none of us should be ashamed to have or feel like we're being criticized for having, Ronnie? Am I missing something?
I'll tell you what these people are missing is almost always, and I have barely seen an instance where I'd be wrong on this. JD Vance is always the smartest guy in the room, so you should probably be really careful. And kind of tailing off this, I've been watching what's been going on in Washington the last week since the inauguration. And Ricky, I feel like I am watching a sporting event that my favorite team is playing in, and they're just running up the score. Like every single time I look, there's something new and awesome happening. But yeah, JD Vance is the smartest dude in the room, and they try to play gotcha with him, and they're never going to win.
Well, they're going after him on prices.
It was embarrassing. How come the prices aren't down yet? I don't know. 5 days, right. Margaret.
It's been 5 days, and she can't wait. This is the thing. See, they can't even have a grace period to see what's going on. It is immediately, okay, what can I come after you with and invent something out of? Oh, prices haven't dramatically fallen in 5 days. Or
120 hours, Ricky.
These people, should be allowed to come into the country. And he's like, why do I care? Why do I care if he was radicalized? Well, it's not clear if he was radicalized after he got here. And it's like, remember back when he was like, listen to yourself. Remember when he when he was talking, who was it, Raditz? Listen to yourself. There's only a few places where there's Venezuelan gangs taking over.
Just a couple.
JD Vance has a gift for cutting through the bullshit and sort of reminding us, what are we really talking about here?
Well, Ricky,
it doesn't matter whether he got radicalized here or whether he was radicalized there. Either way, he shouldn't fucking be here. What is she talking about? It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. CBS should be deeply, deeply embarrassed.
Well, Ricky, I'm only going to speak for myself, but I think I probably speak for a lot of people. I absolutely did not want Harris to win, and I did not want Biden to win 4 years ago. But I will tell you what, when Biden did win, I wanted him to be successful. I wanted him, the things that he ran on and the things that he said, I was hoping, oh my gosh, hoping and rooting that please make this, make all this happen and be
so
good.
Was I.
These people,
I voted for him. I voted for him.
People want Trump
I was obviously
and Vance
rooting for him
to fail. They want Trump and Vance to fail, and they prove it every time they open their mouth. And it's despicable, Ricky. Like clearly,
Ron,
it's despicable.
When you're so invested in hating something, it is hard for most people to walk it back. I give credit to anybody. That's why I give credit to Stephen A. And folks like that.
Bill Maher.
You shouldn't ever condemn somebody for starting to figure things out just because they didn't figure it out as soon as you. I don't ever want to be the cool kid who's like, well, where were you? No, it's like better. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're starting to see it and come on over. You're welcome, because this is the common sense table at which you and I sit, Ron. And it's ridiculous to me, but there's so many things happening, Ron. Here's one for you. Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, is proposing that we get rid of the TSA, saying that the TSA should be abolished and airlines can do their own screening. Ordinarily, this seems like it would be like a really big story, and I'm sure it will be if it leads to anything. But, it's kind of lost in the deck of all of the pretty incredible things that are coming at us, Ronnie. But what do you think of the idea of abolishing the TSA? You have a knee-jerk take on that?
I love the sentiment, but my God, the last group of people that I'm ever going to trust is the freaking airlines. Like they can barely do anything right. I don't want the airlines being the one who's making sure that there's nothing bad going on.
I agree with you. Hey, airport security, though, never a good experience. That is the great Derek Smalls, the basis for Spinal Tap.
Okay. I guess his hair's a little darker than your hair.
Yeah. I've got the full beard as well there, Ron. But yeah, he had a cucumber. Yeah, he had a. Did they actually? Is that what they used back in the day? But he had aluminum foil wrapped around a cucumber, and I never understood why it needed aluminum foil, but probably just so they could make the joke. Would be my best guess. Ron, have you ever seen This Is Spinal Tap?
I have not.
All right, that's one that I would recommend. I think you would probably enjoy it. And here's something else that you'll enjoy, Ron. We got poll replies here coming for you. Super 70 Sports Nation weighing in on Monday's poll of the day here. You can see with over 5,000 votes in. It's sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Landon Nolan says, I love floating the river, but it seems like I always come back with stories that start like this. The sea was angry that day, my friends.
Such a great episode.
I definitely want to do that, though, Ron. I enjoy the controlled lazy river experience, but I'd like to actually get out there and just bound down the Mississippi, Ron. Not a care in the world. The Great Rex Crumb says, in addition to being an all-time breakfast, sausage, gravy, and biscuits would have been the greatest TV cop show of all time. Wow. Well, listen, it's not too late. Ron, write that down. I am not above working on that. That would also be a tremendous blaxploitation era movie. Richard Roundtree and Jim Brown and Raquel Welch. Sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Jeb says, seems like food always wins. And this is true with my audience. BC says, river tubing down a lazy river while having a good beer with friends is awesome. But my God, good homemade biscuits and gravy just goes too hard. See, that's what it is, Ron. It's just too powerful. People like other things, but oh, man. It's
kind of sexy.
That is always a great breakfast right there. Right there.
I like sausage gravy over the cubed hash browns, or what do they call them? Those potatoes that are deep fried. That's really good.
Maybe you can go to Denny's later and make that happen.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.